In continuation of the 40th Day commemoration ceremonies, videos received by Iran International show many of these ceremonies held in various cities across Iran. In these ceremonies, the families of the deceased emphasize the continuation of the path the martyrs had taken and urge attendees to keep the memory of their loved ones alive. According to the images from these events, the atmosphere is a mixture of cheers, playing drums and cymbals, with chants containing patriotic themes. These slogans emphasize the continuation of the national revolution and solidarity with the families of the victims. The footage received by Iran International shows the sister of martyr Amir Ali Aslani speaking at the 40th ceremony for her brother, discussing his death in the name of the homeland and stressing the continuation of the path he had taken. Attendees at the 40th Day Memorial for martyr Amir Babashakuri chanted slogans in his honor in Lahijan. According to images received by Iran International, the 40th Day Memorial for 21-year-old Tanya Abbasi, who was killed on January the 8th during the National Revolution, emphasized the need to continue the path that this young martyr took. My colleague Morteza Kazemian is here in the studio with us. Morteza, the images being published from the 40th Day Memorials for the Martyrs highlight a very important point. The slogans that people chant are a mixture of mourning and protest. How do you view these slogans? That's exactly right. These ceremonies are not just mourning events. They represent a blending of mourning and protest, or they have transformed into a mechanism for continued protests. We are witnessing a coexistence of mourning and protest. It provides an opportunity for the families of the deceased to voice their demands and pursue their grievances. Interestingly, within the context of these ceremonies, whether they are funerals or 40th Day memorials, the slogans reflect a shift from private mourning to a public issue. This means that mourning ceremonies are no longer just for personal grief or related to one individual. They are intertwined with a public issue and the demands that have arisen in the country. That's why it's interesting that the slogan, "This wilted flower has become a gift to the homeland," reflects this situation where these young martyrs who have fallen are being transformed into public symbols in a national protest. This is where those seeking justice, and especially the families who have endured immense suffering after hearing the news of the death of their loved one in recent weeks, are carrying this heavy burden. And it's interesting that at the same time, the children of the deceased, their sisters, brothers, mothers, are also bearing this immense weight by raising awareness about their loved ones, and in a way, an individual who could have remained anonymous after being killed on the streets is now becoming a national hero. I should also mention that Ali Khamenei, in his remarks yesterday, categorized the deceased, mentioning that there were those who were innocent bystanders in the streets and were shot. However, interestingly, Khamenei interpreted that as these individuals were killed during a sedition and that the enemy was responsible for their deaths, regardless of which side the bullets came from. So, in a way, Khamenei acknowledged that the government forces targeted some of these innocent protesters, but he easily ignored the blood that they had shed on the ground. Here, in these morning events, we see that these anonymous citizens, who to Khamenei are just some numbers, and whose shed blood and spent lives he easily overlooks, are now turning into national symbols and heroes. And not only do the families inform the media about them, but also they are honoured by the citizens in general. Morteza, these ceremonies and rituals are defining a new boundary between the people and the government. How do you see this gap, this crack, this boundary forming? Yes, this is indeed an important part of this significant event we are witnessing. Mourning ceremonies are no longer just confined to personal spaces. They are defining a boundary between society and the government. Homes or the graves of the citizens, the graves of the deceased, or even mosques or cemeteries are no longer confined and private spaces. They have turned into public spaces, but with a boundary between society and the government. It's interesting that in all these videos, in all these ceremonies, we see this meaningful separation, that is, a repressive government facing a grieving people. These grieving citizens are even pushing against the security forces, who are pressuring them to stop the ceremonies or prevent anti-government slogans from being chanted. We are witnessing in these events an armed force confronting grieving mothers, grieving children, grieving fathers, and grieving brothers and sisters. A cruel ruler is indeed facing an oppressed citizen. This is the very boundary that this ceremony highlights, and in a way, it delineates the division between what the government describes as a disruptive, conspiratorial, terrorist, coup starter elements, and even the anonymous citizen with national heroes, martyrs of the homeland, the dead for the country. This border is made distinct. The description, promotion and information provided regarding these citizens starkly differ from the government narrative, and this is precisely the divide that exists in reality on the ground in Iran between the majority of the people and the occupying, hostage-taking, oppressive and, of course, thieving government. Thank you, Morteza Kazemian. The spokesperson for the Education Commission of the Islamic Consultative Assembly says that 17% of the individuals who participated in the anti-government protests in December were teenagers and mostly students. Ehsan Azimi Rad added that in some provinces up to 45% of the protesters were under 20 years old. He also mentioned that in some schools all students in a class participated in the demonstrations. However, this Member of Parliament expressed ignorance regarding the number of imprisoned and killed students. Meanwhile, the Minister of Justice today reported the release of many detained children and teenagers, but emphasized that the detention of some of those arrested under 18 years old continues. Amin Hassan Rahimi did not provide any details about the total numbers of detained children and those still imprisoned. Today, students in some schools across the country held ceremonies to commemorate the 40th day of fellow students' deaths. Iran International has received images from a school in Charmahal Bakhtiari showing this ceremony. The Coordination Council of Teachers' Trade Unions of Iran announced a strike and general mourning in schools yesterday and today in honor of the 40th day memorials of the victims of the protests. Images of students chanting in a school in Karaj have reached Iran International. Images have also reached Iran International, showing a book titled "We Are Defending Our Iran," added to the secondary education curriculum. According to a viewer who sent us this video, this book teaches students how to become martyrs. This new book is being distributed in schools with this title. Here is a photo of the students, their own children, who were killed in the 12-day war. We see that they've put Trump's photo here. What sort of content is this? Nothing but poppycock. It teaches children how to become martyrs. In another video that has reached Iran International, students in a school light candles in the memory of the martyrs of the national revolution. Mansoure Yegane Hosseini is with us here in the studio. Mansoure, what aspects of these videos caught your attention, especially in the last video? Yes, as we saw in this video, this lady was showing that they are teaching us martyrdom in this textbook. These protests and what happened in 2023 during the Woman Life Freedom movement, all of these represent life against death. People who are seeking life want to be able to choose their lifestyle against a government that offers them death. In these 40th memorials, we also see how the families of these martyrs come to their graves and say, "Speak of life," like Seper's father, who came and said, "Speak of life, not death." But against them is a government that constantly wants to lead them towards death. We see in these videos another point that shows how creative these students are in sending their videos. Whether by taking videos of their textbooks and critiquing them, or by stomping on the ground, a gesture we had seen in the Woman Life Freedom movement, but this time they do that while singing songs. They have learned how to protect themselves. They don't send pictures of their faces, taking videos from behind. They try to ensure that the location of the videos they send is not identifiable, that it's not clear what class it is. This means that these students are executing these programs in their classes with thought and planning, filming it and sending it to the media. Mansoure, why has the government made dealing with students and teenagers a part of their work plan? We know that the war against students is very evident in this revolution, and so it was also in the Woman Life Freedom movement. You see, these students who come to school and do these things are not only representing themselves, but also their families. They hear and see a series of things in their families, then expose them outside of their family circles. They come into the school and put on a certain program, either chanting slogans as we saw in the previous videos, or holding memorial ceremonies, singing revolutionary songs, and so on. And they come from all cities. When you look at these videos, you see that they are not just from big cities. They come from all over Iran, taking and sending these videos with great difficulty. So, in a way, these students have become representatives of themselves and their families in the media with the information they provide. Of course, the Islamic Republic does not want this to happen. It does not want people to realize that now that it has managed to suppress the voice of the people's protests in the streets, as it claims, in another way, these kids are reflecting their voices. On the other hand, the Islamic Republic has a history of using children. During the 8-year Iran-Iraq war, we had the phenomenon of child soldiers. The Islamists know what potential exists, what abilities they have, and what they can do for them. But this time, they cannot use these students for their own ideology. That's why they try to suppress and silence them. And as we have seen, in the next stage, they also try to bring them under control by using educational materials or sending preachers and religious students to the schools. Thank you, Mansoure Yegane Hosseini. Images received by Iran International from the nights of January the 8th and 9th show that at Al-Ghadir hospital, the bodies of a large number of victims who were killed by direct gunfire to the head were placed in a storage-like area. In new videos we have received, the sound of gunfire is heard in Al-Ghadir Square near Al-Ghadir Hospital in eastern Tehran, and a large number of wounded are seen in the streets as people are trying to transport and save them. Many bodies wrapped in blankets and lying on the ground are visible, and families are searching among the bodies to find their loved ones. Also in the hospital morgue, bodies can be seen with gunshot wounds to the head. My colleague Farnoosh Faraji is here to tell us about how the authorities dealt with the wounded and the deceased at Al-Ghadir Hospital. Please go ahead. Fariba, on January the 8th and 9th, one of the areas where a significant massacre took place was Tehran Pars, in the eastern part of Tehran. At that time, many videos reached Iran International showing direct gunfire. In this video, we also saw that the suppressive forces were shooting directly at unarmed people who were even hiding behind trees to avoid being hit. They were shooting at them ruthlessly. When you listen to the audio of the video, it sounds like you are in the middle of a battlefield. A large number of bodies are shown in one of the videos sent to Iran International, where an ambulance has gone to Al-Ghadir Hospital, bringing the wounded as well as a number of bodies. They want to unload them, but the oppressive forces have arrived and are taking the dead bodies and the wounded away. According to the eyewitness who sent us these images, they were shooting directly at the wounded to kill them. They wouldn't even give back the bodies. Some of those bodies were with their friends or relatives who had participated in this demonstration together, but they pushed them aside and took the bodies away. Other images that reached us from Kahrizak, which you just saw, show several unidentified bodies in a section of the hospital outside the building, wrapped in blankets. Some were in the hospital parking lot. Among those corpses was the body of Aida Aghili. Her family could not find her for several days as she was killed in another part of the town, but was later identified and was found in Kahrizak. Some are still unidentified. According to information received by Iran International, there are still several unidentified bodies in Al-Ghadir Hospital. Some have been sent to Kahrizak, but the rest are still in the hospital. The wounded have not been taken care of. Some of the wounded were just left in the parking lot, just like those wrapped in blankets who have not been identified. Some were taken to Kahrizak while others remained there. We had previously addressed this tragedy that occurred in Tehran Pars and at this hospital, which is more like a slaughterhouse than a hospital. The tragedy is so great that it will become a part of history. Everyone will talk about it. We have published many images from Al-Ghadir Hospital and the atrocities which took place there. Farnoosh Faraji, thank you.